Hey, I didn't hear it that time.
Yeah, I mean it popped up, but
Did it pop up for you? Cool. Well, hey, ho, ho, ho. What do you know? It is a very special Black Tower podcast because it's the holidays. And yeah, I don't care that you just had holidays. Guess what? It's still holidays. Oh, I got a little thing hanging. There it is. Got it. It's still holidays because it's about to be New Year's, and I checked, and you're allowed to be festivus. You're about to be fastidious up until the end of December. Up in like January 3rd or 4th, you can still get away with it. It's science rules. How you doing, buddy?
doing good. Chowing down on some grapes.
Well, see, tonight I'm gonna have some eggnog, but can't just have regular old eggnog. Have some eggnog. I want to put a little bit of rum in there. This is the Allender Nordic style spiced rum. It's going to be delicious. That's going into the old nog of the egg. And then because I like it, I cast Fireball. We're gonna have fun tonight. I don't care. I don't care who knows it.
Very stark contrast here. I'm like, I was in the holiday mood past weekend. Yeah, I actually did stuff, and then I will probably be in some degree of a holiday mood this weekend because I'm going down to see the family.
So I thought I was being smart. I got this candy cane to mix it, and it broke.
Oh yeah, and you're leaking.
And I'm leaking, yeah. And leaking.
It looks good.
It smells like I'm about to die. But happy holidays, everybody.
We all, some of the best moments in our lives are when we feel like we're about to die.
It also tastes like I'm about to die. Tastes like the holiday season, y'all. Welcome everybody to the Black Tower podcast. You know us by now, but if this is some reason this is your first time tuning in, hey, how you doing? I'm Josh. I'm your Soravan Mahale. I am the storm leader. I lead the storms, and I talk a lot of shit.
I am your grape Mahale today. I'm your Vajan Mahale, which probably sounds a lot better in editing. Yeah, I done forgot what I did, which is bad. I hadn't done it in a while.
It's okay. It's okay. You're here now. That's what matters. Yeah, that's right.
But I'm Andrew.
Andrew. And our Amin Khan Mahale Daniel is out on official Black Tower business. I believe he's out scouting a new satellite location for the Black Tower. He's making the change from LA to right outside of Seattle, right?
I think that's something like that. I know it's just Washington State. Yeah. Somewhere in Washington State. I mean, comparative to the state he's leaving, it's a really small place. So.
Yes, that is true.
But he is joining one of the many thousands of individuals who are seeking life outside of the boundaries of California.
Yes. He's he's part of the mass exodus.
But I don't think it has anything to do with not liking California or something. Maybe it's just like more stable power grid or something like that.
I don't know. Any of the.
Would explain why I didn't choose Texas, because also not a stable power grid. And with this winter weather that we're having, it's going to come down to the Midwest and the East Coast. Texas is probably sitting there like, oh shit.
Dude, well, and then there was last year when Texas was like under 200 feet of snow, and Ford, their stock went up by like $10 a share because everybody realized, hey, I can hook my truck up to my house and power my entire house with my truck. Like, wow, that was awesome. I was very impressed with that.
Well, it's like 40 degrees here, and it's been 40 or below every night this week, which is relatively rare for a seaboard city on the East Coast in the South. We've actually had to use the heater a little bit. So, I mean, I say that. I mean, my heater set at 65 because I like it cold, and I only did 65 to knock out that little bit of chill that was making like the little pickies just a little chilly. So, but it's been nice, especially because the girlfriend and I, we did early Christmas this past weekend so that she can spend the actual holiday with her folks, and me with mine. And one of the lovely gifts she got me was a new jacket, a nice zip up Columbia fleece.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Then she told me that it was in the wrong color, but I'm gonna wind up with two of them because not only did wherever she ordered them from tell her she didn't have to send that one back, they are sending her the color she actually ordered, which I think is black. Because this one is like light blue and regular blue. So
nice.
I have gone from a man with no jacket to a man with mini jacket.
Great success.
Be impressed. My neighbor's wife cannot get jacket. Great success.
Great success. You know, can afford.
Yeah, but it's actually coming in use because, like, my thing is, I'm definitely one of those stubborn people that will like just not wear a jacket.
Yes.
More so because it's pullover than anything else, because of the inconvenience of what it does to like my hair. This is a very delicate balancing act. Right here. Because like forever ago, I got like I went and got a haircut. And for whatever reason, the guy decided he wanted to line up like my hairline. And that meant cutting off the widow's peak. So that's been like trying to grow back for like the last 2 months.
Dude, you know what kills me?
Don't cut off people's. At least ask before you cut off somebody's widow's peak. All right.
That's a thing too. I'm noticing like a lot of people that have like a line up in their hair, and I don't understand. I mean, like me, I got a 5 head as it is, right? Like I don't have a 4 head.
I was just looking. This looks like receding hairline, but it's just because all the hair is pulled back on. Or maybe it is. Who the hell knows? I've been bald before. I'll be bald again.
Do you know what? I might do the Hulk Hogan, you know, like when I start going bald up top and just grow out the side and be like, oh yeah, brother. I might. I don't know. We'll see.
Party with a hat, but without a hat, you're some kind of like old school punk rock.
That's right. Dude, it's like going to a Dropkick Murphys show nowadays and seeing like the people that are like 40s and 50s and they're like, yeah, Dropkick, baby. And I'm like, I'm one of them. I went to
all fun and games until the laser started bouncing off everybody's forehead.
Dude, I went to a Dropkick Murphys concert a few weeks back. Super fun, total blast. And I'm standing there and there's all these kids there. And I'm like, oh, that's cool, man. The younger generation is shit. And I'm like sitting there thinking the younger generation is, well, fuck off, man. And then I'm talking to this lady and she's bald and she's like total badass lady. Like we were like going back and forth and just having a grand old time. I thought she was bald because of like, you know, punk rock and she's still like in it. No, it turns out she was terminal. I was like, oh, I'm glad I didn't say anything. Like I'm thinking inside, but she's also like, I got my hair like in my face. That's one of these. But she was also super cool. So like it was a lot of fun. We hung out a little bit, had a couple drinks. It was a good time.
I mean, good times. If you need an excuse to have a good time and you just happen to be terminal, like you have the best reason to do whatever you want. So.
I mean, that's right. I
mean, do what you got to do. So I don't know. We're going on tirades. We didn't get our pre-episode discussion.
We didn't.
Because I've got because I've got to dip out kind of early tonight to go do.
Oh, that's right.
Thing.
Okay, well,
so
you need to go to
just
Black
rambling
Tower
about
Pod.
stuff.
You need to go to blacktowerpod.com. You need to do that. That's the thing you have to do. You absolutely have to, because it's always growing. It's always getting better and bigger and amazinger. We've got we got some new things popping up there in the merch store coming up here pretty soon. Gonna be exciting. Take a look at that.
Stickers just went out.
Yes.
Went out today. So obviously holiday delays in mail. But if you are a Patreon of ours, Soldier tier or above, your sticker is in the mail. And we have your address, because you can opt out of the physical. If you don't want them, you don't have to give your address.
We do have a couple of people who have said, I love you, Black Tower Podcast, and I just want to support you. Please don't send me anything. Which to you guys, like, that's just sweet. Thank you.
Oh, they're not coming in fancy envelopes this time, because I ran out and kind of forgot that I ran out and didn't order new envelopes until today. Which we did change. I inverted the color scheme, so it's no longer black envelope with red text and a black QR code. Now a red envelope, everything else is black. So black text, black QR code. So you can actually see it, scan it, and read it, and your phones might actually use it. It just goes to blacktowerpod.com. But
very nice.
That'll be fixed. So
very nice.
That's done. And there's some other stuff that we got to get ready and send out, because December is another merch month. So if you are dedicated tier or above, keep your eyes on your mail post first of the year, because even if we order stuff today, it probably will not ship out and arrive until
that's true
right around the first of the year, maybe start of the next year. We'll get you your stuff next year, because that joke never gets old.
And you're not even a dad yet. Wait a minute, are you a dad?
That I'm not that I know of.
I mean, that was pretty solid dad joke. I know it's overused, but
I make a lot of them. A lot of them. So I might have a
the classics are a classic for a reason. Like, come on. After you've gone to blacktowerpod.com and seen all you can see and done all you can do and buy all the merch because you want it on your body, your sexy body. After you got all our sweet merch, you know what you need to do next. What you need to do next is go over to the lovely Crystal Barista chibi art that's on our page. Click that art and go to the Crystal Festival. Go to the Crystal Barista's website. Check out all the amazing rocks, gems, crystals, minerals, and amazingness that's there. They got subscription boxes.
Go to the Crystal Festival too, if you can.
Oh, dude, you absolutely should. The Crystal Festival will be happening all over Utah next year. We got like 12 different, I want to say 12, maybe a couple fewer. But we've got Crystal Festival events happening like from Logan, Salt Lake City, all the way down to like St. George. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Do not miss out. If you're a couple hours away from any of those locations, like, it's worth the drive, and it's a free to get in show. You don't have to pay anything to get in.
That's always nice.
All right. Well, today's episode, Andrew, do you want to kick that part off?
Oh yeah, we can do something like that. So before we get into what today's episode is actually about, we need to do, as always, and make sure we give you protection before we talk about Gilbert Gottfried's favorite Wheel of Time character.
The Black Tower stands fully erect.
When the tower is bulging at full erectness, you must protect yourself from tainty spoilers.
Your spoiler condom must cover the immense girthiness of all 14 books of Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time,
with an itty-bitty tip at the top for the prequel New Spring.
If your condom is too small, you will get tainty spoiler jizz all up in your eye.
Or ears. You have been warned.
I love that.
There you go.
I love that one so much. It's so good.
Oh. I love Twitch.
Yes.
The website, the first Twitch and Company. Gleeman. I cannot English.
No,
yeah.
Don't English.
Gleeman's Apprentice. fantastic folks. Go and give them a listen. Go and check them out. Tell them Black Tower sent you, or don't. Depends on if you're embarrassed or not. If you got
Twitch,
in your eye.
Also, yeah. Also, if you do have one of our Black Tower coins, Twitch is not afraid to coin check your ass. So, just
that's true.
Fair warning. He coin checked me, but I have my coin, so he had to buy me beer. Sucker.
Yeah. I got incredibly lucky because guess who didn't have their coins at the Gathering Madness?
Oh snap! I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, because I switched that little. I had the little Ridge wallet.
Yeah.
I no longer have one that just sits in my
Ooh,
wallet. I gotta
yeah, you better correct that, son.
I gotta figure. I mean, I got until April to figure it out. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. But yeah, now that the spoiler warning is out there, I had a line of thought, and it just like that disappeared.
Tonight's recording.
It's holiday-itis.
It is
holiday-itis. Even though I'm not taking any extra time off of work, but at least I get Monday off. So that's nice. Anyway, speaking of someone that never took a Monday off, we're going to talk about one of the Forsaken. Perhaps one of the strongest Forsaken. Well, not perhaps, definitely one of the strongest Forsaken.
Yes.
On par with Luz Theron Telamon, on par with Ishmael, if not maybe just under both of them. I think he was on par. But we'll find out for sure as we explore Demandred.
Demandred. Yeah, I think book 6 is the first time we see him, isn't it? Is the Lord of Chaos? That's the first time or does he do anything?
Yeah.
That's the first time
he's
we're
mentioned in Eye of
Demandred.
the World, but yeah, we see him the first time in Lord of Chaos prologue, but he's mentioned in Eye of the World.
Right. So he is released at the end of the Eye of the World when the rest of the Forsaken are released. A lot of them are kind of doing their thing. Demandred has this kind of different strategy. He's actually really, really, really smart kind of guy. He was
freaking wicked smart.
Wicked smart. He's a wicked smart guy. And he ends up being we'll just go with this introduction in the books, which is Lord of Chaos. He travels to Shayol Ghul. He is escorted into the Boar by Shadar Haran. And this is the first time we meet Shadar Haran as well. Or do we see him before as well? I think it's the same kind of thing. He's mentioned prior, but this is the first time he actually has any kind of movement in the plot.
It could be.
Even Demandred doesn't know who he is at this point in time. Like, because Demandred's like, "You may leave, half man," and he's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever, buddy. I'm just gonna stand right here." He doesn't even acknowledge him, which really pisses Demandred off. And the only reason he doesn't like get to work is the Dark One starts screaming inside Demandred's skull.
I think it's weird because like when we see Mo Gideon led into Shayol Ghul by Shadar Haran, she is actively like venomous towards Shadar Haran. But Demandred, he's curious of Shadar Haran, but he's not villainous or evil or spiteful towards him at all.
Right.
Because I think Demandred very quickly because one, Shadar Haran doesn't have to come and collect him. He's summoned there. He comes of his own accord and is then led by Shadar Haran. There's a degree of acknowledgement and respect for Demandred that sets a different tone for that. The fact that he was summoned, not retrieved, like Mo Gideon was. Also, Mo Gideon like super fucked up, and then super fucked up again, and then super fucked up again. So yeah, but Demandred seems to either pick up on the fucking hints or recognize that like this isn't a normal Murdraw. The fact that they're standing here at the entrance of Shayol Ghul and are leading me in, shit here doesn't happen just because a Murdraw decides, hey, I'm important now, so I'm gonna take charge. Like the shit here only happens because the great Lord of the Dark decrees it so. And so then we move into the scene that is so famously narrated amongst the fandom now, thanks to a certain
Takaran Riyadh.
Yeah.
Super, super cool group there as well. If you haven't listened to Takaran Riyadh, listen to them. They're awesome.
You should. They're fantastic folks.
Joe, Jen, and Tom, right? Yeah. Joe,
Jen, and Tom.
And they did a Gilbert Gottfried cameo and had him read the lines for the Dark One in that opening prologue, and it was pure poetry, audio poetry.
What was interesting too is even with Demandred doesn't have to scramble to get into the cavern or whatever have you, and he doesn't have to like really duck stalactites. I mean, they're right above his head, and he notices that they seem to move out of the way for Shadar Haran, just further cementing his whole like what I'm sure is his mental thing of, yeah, not really fucking with this one. Like this one might have been Agonor's at one point, but it's no longer Agonor's.
Right.
Not that any of them ever technically were, but he doesn't have to scramble. So this is a very stark contrast to what I believe we've already seen at this point. Mo Gideon be summoned this Shao Ghul.
I think so.
So this is what it looks like whenever you're not on the shittiest of the shit list, and you come to talk to the boss.
The Dark One's naughty list.
Yeah. But there's still despite the stark contrast of the tone of it, there's similarities as well. There's the immediate prostration by Demandred, which might even be considered more impactful and more respectful because he wasn't forced on his knees trying to avoid getting crushed to death. So.
Right.
Yeah, it's one of those scenes that like is so simple to a degree, but like it expands on the relationship between the Forsaken and Shaitan.
Yeah,
when you can compare it to the other.
Yeah, when you compare the two, as you're saying, side by side, you get a real distinct sense that, first off, even if you're on the Dark One's nice list, like Demandred is here, there's still a reminder that your life hangs in the balance. You are not guaranteed safety. You are not guaranteed exaltation in any kind of way. You are very much the Dark One's bitch, and you will perform accordingly, or it can all be snapped away like that. As we've seen with like Asmodean, Lanfear later on in the books, etc., etc. Let's see. So going back to the Age of Legends, Demandred was born Barid Bel Medar. He was born one day after Luz Therin. And he's just another one of the Forsaken who are just like super jealous of Luz Therin. Like that's kind of his.
Why are you chomping off my vibe, bro?
His character, like that's it. Like it's like one of those like he goes to school and he's super smart and super skilled and super strong in the power.
Austin Powers.
What?
He's Dr. Evil to Austin Powers. And the one where they find out they're brothers. What is that? Goldmember. I think it's in Goldmember where they went to the same school, and even though Austin Powers is much lower on the list, he still got the International Man of Mystery.
Who throws a cupcake? Yes. Oh God.
Seriously.
That's all I could see now. Like little Barid Midar in school.
Yeah.
Who throws a cupcake? Honestly.
Samael walks up. I'm number 2.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Luz Therin's over there banging Ileana, the French teacher. A whole nother lore to the start of the Wheel of Time. If you look very closely, you can see that the dragon's fang is actually the the male gender indicator little thing, the circle with the arrow.
That's well, we already know RJ loved to do like the evolutionary setup thing. So that's what it was. That's what that is. That's the evolutionary
Dragon's
setup.
Fate is just that, just put with the curved arrow.
Damn it, Andrew. Now while I'm about to drink.
It's the perfect time. I had a bad habit of doing that to my old boss, and the number of times she almost drowned nowhere near water is horrifying.
Let's see.
Anyway.
So young Barad Bell Madar was a accomplished author. He was an accomplished statesman, had lots and lots and lots of fame, renown. But it just seemed like every single time Lews Therin would just edge him out for, the top spot. And that really got under his skin, really pissed him off. He didn't like that.
He also wanted Ileana as well. So,
oh, did he?
Yeah, he wanted Ileana as well. But Lews Therin, again, he beat him in the game of power, in the game of academic acclaim, in the game of any sort of honor, and in the game of love.
Damn.
Like, is that person that like, it's kind of like, so you have these like gamers that go on to play esports, and some of them just kind of have like this natural talent,
right?
And then you have somebody that's like played games their entire life and gotten better, and like they're just always stuck at number 2, no matter how hard they train. Yeah, kind of like Frieza before Frieza trained.
Right.
But yeah, no. So yeah, I mean, if you come in second every time, eventually you're gonna get petty and spiteful. Like, if it's always the same freaking guy, and it's every freaking time, yeah. If you can't accept it, you're just gonna get bitter.
And not only that, but when it's not even just a thing about being bitter, though. It's also a thing about, like you were saying, he gets beat at every turn, and I feel like you've got this kind of a situation. He says, okay, Lews Therin beat me here. Cool. I'm going to try this now. And then Lews Therin goes over there and beats him there too. Okay, fine. I'm going to go try this now. And then Lews Therin beats him there. And he's like working. Hold on just one second. He does the thing. He gets his ass kicked at every turn. And
makes me think of we make this reference all the time, but Harry Potter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Harry just shows up, is completely ignorant of the magical world, and just nails things every time he turns around. And then you got Hermione, whatever, H girl that has all the book knowledge. Yeah. Anyway. And then you got Ron that's got like all the technical know-how. Like, he grew up around magic, and he's got all the experience. Hermione has all of the book knowledge, and then there's Harry with just raw talent. And no matter what, even the combined efforts of Ron and Hermione come in second every time.
I will say
the only way they beat Harry in love is they wind up falling in love with each other. And then, just for good measure, Harry says, you know what? That's fine. I'm going to go fuck your sister.
I mean, yeah. I feel like Ron would have been like when Chandler and Monica got together and Ross was like, my best friend, my sister. And then they were like, yeah, dude, like, it's okay. Everything's great. And then all of a sudden he's like, my best friend, my sister. I feel like that was the conversation that Ron had with Ginny and Harry.
I mean, I can imagine it too, because that were they actual real people. they've had their broy conversations, right?
Oh yeah. Oh,
you know, just like everybody has their conversation with their friends about who they find attractive, who they like, blah 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 blah. And they've definitely shared some butter beers and the like, and been on that sugary drunk high, and said some things or talked about stuff they're into. And now Ron is burdened with that knowledge that Harry's pulling out the magical bondage rope.
Can you imagine, like, real quick, and be like, bro, this one
Speaks
right
parcel
here,
tongue to the bondage
this
rope.
right here, panty peeler. Look, Lipsicus moisticus. And then while they're in the bar, he's like, bro, that's badass. Oh my god. And then, like, you know, next year they come back and Harry and Ginny are like, and Ron's like, I can't use any of those spells you taught me, dick.
Oh, he just like tries to listen to the door, or like walks by like Ginny's bedroom door. Just his Harry like speaking parcel tongue between his legs. Let me open your chamber of secrets. Which is doubly fucked up because she was taken hostage in the chamber of secrets. Oh, this is fucked up all around.
Demandred.
Demandred is definitely that person that becomes Tom Riddle, but
yes.
It's like more in the like, if Tom Riddle was around to hate Harry Potter before there was a reason. That doesn't make any sense, but you get what I mean.
So Demandred's last straw moment happens during the War of Power. Demandred discovers the ancient texts in the art of war and immediately considers himself to be a superior tactician. Well, when Luz Theron, you know, was once again outdid him and became appointed the commander of the forces of light, Demandred was like, okay, I'm done. I am so over this. I'm sick of this dude beating me at everything. You know what I'm going to do to prove my point? I'm going to go to the Shadow and I'm going to command their forces and I'm going to lay a smackdown on Luz Theron, the likes of which the world has never seen. Now, I don't know why he thought this one would work when none of the rest of them did. But
because it's always a next time.
Next, I win again, Demandred.
That's
what Luz Theron was saying.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of those common things that you find amongst like stories and mythos and anime and stuff about the people that are just intrinsically disadvantaged. I mean, look at Vegeta. If Vegeta's entire story arc until, well, even still to some degree now, is I'll beat Kakarot next time. I'll never let him beat me again. And then every time, the next time, Kaka-Carrot beats his ass again.
Kaka-Carrot.
You'll never take me alive, Kaka-Carrot. But it's the same kind of deal. And it's one of those things that I think maybe in the manga now that Vegeta has started to accept, as they're kind of looking like they're maybe moving away from Vegeta and Goku being the central focus. Well, that maybe as he starts to accept that, like, that all of Kakarot's thing or all of Goku's things aren't actually bad. Like Vegeta goes to Yardrat to follow in the steps of Goku to learn spiritual control and spiritual ki. And he comes away now with like his version of Ultra. What does he get? Like Ultra Ego?
Yeah.
Which is funny.
Well, I think
you get that. Demandred does the opposite. He just sticks with the next time I'll win.
Right. Well, and it shows, I think, something that is absolutely brilliant that I've said again and again and again in this book series. Look, everybody's going to have a time in their life when they face some kind of trial, some kind of tribulation, some kind of ordeal. Now, you will have a choice. It will not seem like
some order.
Some hors d'oeuvres, please. Now, it will not seem like it at the time. It's always easiest to say, oh, I don't have a choice. What am I going to do? There's nothing I can do. But in those moments, not only do you have a choice, not only do you have the ability to work through this, but those moments are when that choice is so much more poignant and so much more important that you make the right choice. Demandred in this moment makes entirely throughout his entire competition with Luz Theron, he makes the wrong choice. And he makes that choice over and over and over again and never learns that lesson and learns to find that acceptance kind of within himself and being like, you know what, I'm enough for me. Because I have to imagine there's like 1,000 other people that competed with Luz Theron and lost and went, shit, the better man won. You know what I mean? Like,
they do call him the dragon for a reason.
Well, if I'm going to lose, I may as well lose to the best. Lose. That's what I'll call him from now on.
Imagine all the people that did stay like completely salty about the whole thing, and whenever he finally became Kinslayer, and they're like, you suck. It's all your fault. Like, oh, wait, reality around us is crumbling? Well, at least I stayed sane longer.
Well, at least it wasn't my fault.
At least I didn't fucking kill my wife. Go.
Right, though? No, I can actually see that. I can see some of the people
that can't say that, and neither can some TikTok stars.
I mean, there's that. Speaking of TikTok, I did a TikTok in which so Critter had done a TikTok talking about like Ajas, and someone asked a question about the Black Tower, and she was like, well, the Black Tower, they're probably not going to have Ajas, and she talked about some of the down points of Ajas, and then asked the question at the end, like, what do you think? Do you think there's going to be Ajas for the Black Tower? And I jumped on there, and I just commented as Black Tower. I was like, and she's like, oh, hey, Black Tower, I figured I'd be seeing you. And then I made a video response, and I was like, I told everybody about our theory about like Gar, the old tongue for weapon, and how our divisions were a little bit more flexible, but kind of, yeah. Anyway, a lot of fun there.
Run around committing human rights violations.
That's true. That's
a big pro in the good one.
It is. I don't know if was he the first one to declare for the Shadow?
I don't think he was the first.
No, I don't think. No, I think you're right.
Because Ishmael was technically Lanfear, I believe, was the first.
Yes.
Because she was kind of right there, and was of the two people with any sort of power, was the one that didn't fucking die immediately. So.
Right.
And I think after Lanfear was Ishmael, but I think Demandred might have been like, he was pretty early on.
Well, they already had the war brewing, which I can only imagine was Ishmael mustering Dark Friends.
That's true.
Ishmael and Lanfear mustering Dark Friends, starting the War of Power, right?
Uh-huh.
And then as Luz Theron was elected or appointed or whatever.
Oh wait, so yeah, he waited a while actually.
Yeah.
He held out, yeah, because like the War of Power didn't start until enough people declared for the Shadow.
So he was still a decent guy. Let's see.
Yeah. But whenever he did go, like, he went with no less flair than anybody else. Because Ishmael was like, cool, in the Hall of Servants, I declare, for the other side.
Yeah.
I declare you my enemy. And then promptly, though very closely lost to Luz Theron, but barely.
Right.
Demandred, so he did. Yeah, so there were already other chosen. So it's the third year into the War of Power, Demandred switch side.
Well, and he switched sides because he considered himself to be a better tactician and thought that, okay, well, since I can't lead the forces of light, I'll lead the shadow and I'll win. And then I'll finally smack that smug Lews Therin in the face.
I mean, so he was completely convinced that Lews Therin in charge was going to lead to the downfall.
Right.
So I could see Demandred spending 3.5 years, something like that, trying to convince the rest of the leadership of the Forces of Light that Lews Therin's plans were costing them, that they were losing, that they were going to lose, and that he was the better fit. And finally, after being turned down for that Joint Chief position, for that Secretary of Defense position, like so many times, I imagine at some point that it just kind of snapped. Because I mean, now you've got him where he was already tacitly kind of under Lews Therin, just like most people were, to some loose degree. He wasn't sitting there like watching directly over you. He wasn't like your everyday boss for most, but he was still like the head honcho along with the Tamerlane. But at this point, with Demandred being as good with military tactics as he was, and with his access to these ancient war scripts, which I could just imagine is just like the Army's Guide to Combat, like the U.S. Army's Guide to Combat. It's like one pamphlet about Green Beret training, 6 pages from a Navy SEAL like Bud's book.
It could very well be, though, because me thinking to myself right now, as an Air Force veteran, right now, granted, I didn't do anything. There was not a combat veteran by any stretch of the imagination. The majority of my career, I
fought to wake up every day.
But I consider myself to understand a pretty decent amount of what it takes to really spin up an organization in order to get it organized and prepared for some kind of strenuous activity, right? I can almost promise you right now that I know an inch of what those men and women go through in order to earn those spots in those special forces. So, it's a funny thought to say he probably found an Army training manual, but at the same time, shit, maybe.
I can see Demandred, like, he gets passed over because as Lews Therin is talking about like all these grandiose ideas that like he's mostly kind of like generating of his own mind, Demandred is out there like doing his best, like doing Spetsnaz training with some of the bros, like, or he's doing what was the guy that would you've seen The Men Who Stare at Goats, right?
I have not.
Oh really? With George Clooney and Ewan McGregor? The Men Who Stare at Goats. It's the whole thing about like the Army psyops where they were.
I have not.
Oh, dude, it's a great movie. I mean, there's one of the people in the movie that you definitely there's a reason I didn't say the other guy's name, because it's got a certain Kevin in it. The outer space variety. You catch my drift.
Okay.
He's not full. He's got plenty of space.
Okay.
So barring that massive blemish on it, it's a really good movie. But they talk about, there's this one guy in there who does this like technique that everybody considers ludicrous, where he like holds a knife in each hand and he like cross them, and then like he jumps off a ledge at people and like just flails his arms and tries to stab them when he lands. Like I just picture Demandred, just everybody else is like sitting there like reading books and going over maps, and Demandred's just keeping like hopping off of like the first floor like ledge or balcony, just flailing his arms with daggers, and like this is an elite technique.
That first trap has got to be like Bill Murray in Stripes. Army training, sir. That's got to be it. I love it.
And that's why he really got passed over. It wasn't because he was inferior. It's because he was bad shit already.
I mean, yeah, that's it right there.
Yeah.
But he decides to lead the Shadow and actually does a pretty damn good job. Like Luz Theron
starts with war crimes.
Yeah, Luz Theron is losing the war.
Really smart because like at the end, it's Demandred and Bilal are both leading forces for the Shadow, and I guess one of the benefits of Demandred staying around long enough was he probably saw, if they didn't already see, the starting of the plans for the Choden Call.
Yes.
And Demandred looks at Bilal, and Bilal looks at Demandred, and they're like, "Huh,
that's a problem.
We should probably do something about that." Which I didn't even know this before today, but apparently that leads into part of the reason why Luz Theron is so adamant about striking at Shal Ghul.
And which is another reason. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it again. I will say this with the precursor. I did enjoy season 1 of the TV show. I did. It was good. The finale, there were so many things that upset me about it, and one of them was that Luz Theron wanted to attack the Dark One. It wasn't that we made a mistake and now we need to seal the bore. It wasn't, anything. It was straight up, we need to attack the Dark One. It didn't fit. I'm sorry.
That's
me,
why
I didn't understand it.
That's why I complain so much about it being trivialized in the stereotypical trope of big strong man must protect child kind of thing. The God of War trope, if you will.
Yeah, no, it took. I have to imagine that conversation between Luz Theron and the Amyrlin at the time had to have been one of the most difficult decisions. And the Amyrlin had to have been like, I know why you want to do this. This isn't the way. If Luz Theron in the TV show had said, we are barely holding the forces of the Shadow back. We need to seal the bore and cut off their access to the Dark One. Aha! Now I have some type of connection to this. Now, and even then, that's not something that necessarily non-readers will not understand. They can understand we're being besieged by the forces of the Shadow who are getting the majority of their power from the Dark One. The Dark One strengthens them. The Dark One emboldens them. So we cut off their connection to the Dark One. And then she says, it's too dangerous. You can't. That will not work. I feel like that would have been a much more compelling. I think that would have been a much more compelling conversation.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I felt like the conversation in the cold open for episode 8 was presented in a way that seemed like the decision by Luz Theron was a lot more knee-jerk, a lot more reactionary, a lot more of a trivial, just like, well, I'm the strongest, I can take them.
I want to do this. I want to do this. Yeah. Wouldn't that be great if I could do it?
Yeah, rather than it being like the actual drawn out kind of thoughtful conversation. Because at the end, they disagreed they didn't disagree because of what the actions were. They disagreed because of what the potential ramifications were if they
right.
So they rewarded it, and generally the Tamerlane felt that the risk was too high to risk given the situation at hand.
Right.
Which is a fair thing to come to, because it's like, well, yeah, we could win, but we could also lose, and lose half of all the Chandlers in the world in one fell stroke.
Right.
But that's
So,
neither here nor there.
Yeah, but when you know that Lews Therin wanted to seal the I believe he originally wanted to attack the Dark One to stop the forces of the Shadow. When he got there and got into it and realized, I can't do this, I need to seal the bore to at least cut them off from the Dark One. That happens. In that particular move, Lews Therin is also able, he manages to seal away all the Forsaken and essentially kick the can down the road, right? Like essentially just be like, I stopped it for now. The war of power has come to an end. Now we can rebuild. Oops, no, because because the Sidene is now tainted, men are now going to go insane.
Well, he goes into the battle a lot in the same way Rand does, right?
Yes.
Rand goes in like, hey, it's time to kill the Dark One. There's two opposing forces that make up all of reality, and I'm just gonna go kill one of them. And I think it's in the battle. I think Lews Therin also realizes at the last minute that not only does he not have the power to kill the Dark One, but that if he did, it would also be very terrible.
Yeah.
So he stopgaps it, like you said. Kick the can down the road with stopgap measures that. It's kind of one of those things. He's like, yeah, Tamerlane was kind of right. Now, were she here, we would be okay, but it was right.
Right.
Oh,
my bad. So in this stroke, he seals away the Forsaken, Demandred being one of them. And at the end of the Eye of the World, when the first couple of seals are broken and the Forsaken are set free, Demandred almost immediately sets off on his own. Most of the Forsaken take up places in different royalties and different houses and different places throughout the world. Not Demandred. He fucks off immediately and goes looking for a sangreal known as Sakarnin, which is sort of the male equivalent to Vora's sangreal. It's the most powerful Sidene attuned sangreal that we know of. And he goes off looking for that. His travels take him to Shara, where he begins. More powerful than
Kalendor.
Yeah, no, this thing is insane.
Is this the same scepter that Logain sees?
Yes,
and gives up.
Yes. So that's the thing, is when Egwene takes out Demandred. No. Demandred takes charge of the forces, gives the sangreal to Taim, and says, there you go kill a motherfucker.
Oh yeah.
Egwene takes Taim out, who's channeling balefire through the most powerful Sidene sangreal in existence. Like literally just like, fuck it, the pattern is rubbish, let's destroy it. Egwene takes him out, learns the weave, the flame of Tarvalin.
She makes it,
invents it, becomes a giant crystal, encases Taim
those are both,
in a giant crystal.
Boomy impersonation. Avatar: The Last Airbender, King Boomy.
And we are led to believe, it is presumed, though I don't know that it was confirmed. I'm clicking the link right now.
I don't think it's confirmed. I think it's just like it collapsed when the crystal kind of forest or field collapsed.
Yeah,
and it is technically lost.
It is.
I don't know if it is destroyed.
We believe it to be destroyed. We believe it to be destroyed. Which this is actually kind of an interesting piece of the story as well, because as we've just got mentioned in the live chat, Demandred and Taim early on were suspected by the community to be the same person. There were a number of things. Now we've already done a deep dive on Taim, but there were a number of indicators. First one being that Taim was also very tactically brilliant on the field, challenging and even beating Davram Bashir on the battlefield. Davram Bashir, of course, being one of the 5 great captains.
Ruler over a little place called Saldea.
Saldea.
Where they have some experience fighting.
Where they're literally tested, tried and true, blooded, like they know it. They've got it.
Sparta without the cool chevron shield. And probably with more clothes, because I think it gets
probably with more clothes. And then the fact that the rest of the Forsaken had taken up positions of power, hiding in plain sight kind of a thing. It was suspected early on that Taim was Demandred in disguise. And RJ, the popular theory goes that RJ didn't like how quickly people put 2 and 2 together and changed the story. But if you ask Robert Jordan, he always was going to do it that way. I don't think he ever admitted that anybody could. I think the closest he got was saying something that was infuriating when people guessed correctly something that he had hoped to be a big reveal later on down the road.
I mean, and I think at that point he did. I think he had 2 avenues for himself. Because regardless of what was said, the avenue to make Demandred and Taim the same person was always there until you met Demandred. All the way up until then, you could still reveal Taim to be Demandred. But when he made the decision that the Shiva was actually going to be the incognito Forsaken, it seemed like he had this rule about there can be only one in any place.
Yes.
Which makes sense given the nature of how the Forsaken work. But there's a little bit of clashing with that, because Demandred, immediately after talking with the Dark One at Shalgul about possibly becoming neighbors and being told by the Dark One, like, hey, here's who's going to live and who's going to fucking die.
Right.
Goes out and he creates an alliance between himself, Masana, and Cimarog, which presumably does aid in Cimarog being giving Rand a hand, or rather taking. But I mean, it just there's too much that lines up between Mazar and Taim and Demandred.
Right.
Potentially the same one. But I think at that time, I think it came down to the Shiva wound up lining up better, and also hadn't been guessed by the fandom yet, and so he called an audible and was like, "Well, Demandred isn't Taim, but Demandred sent Taim. That's different."
Yeah, I will say this. I like Dashiva being the Forsaken better than Taim. I like... What?
Was he Osengar? Oh, that's funny. I clicked on search and Dashiva is literally the second hyperlink.
Yes.
Yeah, Osengar.
Yeah.
Holy shit, I remember something.
Yeah, you did good. I like that Demandred kind of was absent. I really kind of liked that wild card aspect of his character, and it even showed why Rand so desperately needed the Seanchan to side with him. He didn't know why. He just knew that he was told early on that if he did not have everyone in the Westlands on his side, united as allies to fight in the last battle, they would lose.
It was the least that Seanchan could do. You know, they kind of took a hand, so now it was their responsibility to give a hand.
Right. Jerks. And
the fucking bastards.
Demandred goes into Shara, starts fulfilling prophecies, becomes their prophesied return savior, shows up at the last battle with an entire nation at his back, ready to once again lead the forces of the shadow against the forces of the light.
They did one thing before that, because just like many of the other Forsaken, he did pop up near Shadar Logoth whenever Rand was trying to cleanse Sidene.
Oh, that's
and in that battle, I don't believe he showed up with the scepter.
I don't think he had it yet.
And he almost died to Rand's guard. Like, Demandred was almost the man gone.
Mm-hmm.
Because I generally keep forgetting about that part, that he did actually almost die. Not even to Rand, but some of Rand's guard. I mean, this is the Dragon Reborn, and all of the Reborn channeling souls, with possibly the exception of like the Dragon's Reborn soul and Amara Sue's Reborn soul, are weaker than the Age of Legends people that Demandred both was and was used to fighting. So imagine the fucking like ego hit that Demandred had to take, sitting there thinking about how he didn't almost die to Lews Therin Reborn. He almost died to Lews Therin's lackeys after Reborn in an age of weaker channeling. So it makes a lot of sense why, like, as soon as he pops up in the last battle, you know, besides the obvious fact of it being the last battle, that he just starts things off with the scepter.
Right.
So he learned the lesson that nobody in Dragon Ball Z has ever learned. Just fucking go. Get in it to win it, and just start at the top. But.
Well, and the thing is, you got.
Oh wait, he had extra insurance in the last battle too, because he had a full circle of like 72 people.
Yes,
and
he
the
did.
Sakaran.
He was
like, I am taking no chances.
Which, I mean, hell yeah, dude, get it, King. I think it's interesting that, because what? Okay, so we get a lot of callbacks to the War of Power, right? It's now Demandred versus the forces of light. Demandred believes that he's fighting Lews Therin. He believes that Rand, as the Dragon Reborn, is leading the forces of the light. He, of course, is wrong. He is fighting against Matt, who at this point in time has the combined military tactical knowledge of hundreds of soldiers and generals and et cetera, et cetera. Interesting fun fact, if you read the origins of the Wheel of Time, I can't remember what battle it was. But the last battle, where Matt gives up the high ground, has his forces retreat from the heights, and to make the Sharans believe that they're weak and tired and whatever, is actually is play for play one of Napoleon's battles. Now, my personal headcanon for this is that Napoleon is one of the generals inside Matt's head. And so he sees Napoleon's tactics and says, we've got the exact same layout. We've got the exact same situation. This is what we're going to do, because it worked for me in England in whatever. Oh, God, I got to look it up now. What is that?
I like saw the little voice activation bubbles popping up on the computer, and then I started hearing like this voice. And apparently, at some point, I've told Siri to play "Chances" by K. Tronda, whoever that is, and Shaylia. I thought just putting it on, you know what, I got to set it face down so that it just doesn't activate. That's just fucking stupid. But yeah, no, I like that. I mean, I would definitely, you know, like to think that the generals we know that are famous throughout history, you know, the Napoleons, the Alexander the Greats, the Julius Caesars, the Mark Antony. Well, maybe not Mark Antony, but maybe Mark Antony.
Maybe.
Definitely not George Washington. Because he was a shit general.
Because he wasn't even a general for the British military.
Yeah, he was an absolute shit general. Yeah, Mad Dog Mattis for sure. Patton. Maybe not MacArthur. Because Matt doesn't seem prone to like wanting to nuke everything in sight to solve a problem. Maybe a little bit of Eisenhower. Maybe a little bit Ulysses Grant.
Oh, you've also got to give. I mean,
I only really know American generals.
In the United States, we've got a lot of generals.
Little Genghis Khan.
Some of them fight on the wrong side, but you cannot dismiss that you've got Stonewall Jackson. You've got General Lee. Granted, they were the bad guys. I'm not saying they were good guys, but they were good generals. They knew how to fight. I don't think they understood war. And Matt, when he goes through these memories in his head, he often talks about having conflicting feelings when he actually meets Arthur Hawkwing. Because not only does he remember fighting with Arthur Hawkwing, he also remembers dying at Hawkwing's hands. So you've got, Hannibal is another great one.
Lecter?
Yes, Hannibal Lecter.
Yes, the famous general Hannibal Lecter. Yeah. Francis Marion. That's a personal favorite of mine. The father of American guerrilla warfare.
There's
actually my old unit. The entire base was named after his nickname, the Swamp Fox. So
there it is.
I know I've talked about it on the podcast before, but go and look up Sir Francis Marion.
Yes.
Motherfucker was a sir and still said, "I will run in and out of battles and then run through your ass."
Hell yeah.
It worked.
You've got to you look at the different situations. You gotta say that hey, would not surprise me if Matt had memories from the War of Power. I mean, he has probably fought Demandred before in his memories.
He looks across the field at Demandred and we're like, this motherfucker.
Hey, I know you.
It's like the scene from Deadpool whenever he reunites with the guy from TGI Fridays in Jacksonville.
Oh.
How's Carol still making that casserole? So bad for the waist, but so good.
So good. He just knocks him out instead of killing him. What a nice guy.
Well, I mean, it only takes not only does the Demandred lead this like massive circle of 72 people, which is more than we've seen, I believe, in any other circle to this point.
Yes.
And
this is the first time we've seen a full circle.
Yeah. And then not only does he have literally the strongest Angreal on the battlefield, the entire battlefield, seconded only by the one Egwene has, like you said earlier, the Voros Angreal. Like, I'm gonna say the Sakaran is stronger because at least it has a name, right? Rather than just generic Voros song.
And I think they even say that Vora's Sangreal was named after Vora the Amarylline. I believe that's
who found it or wielded it or something.
Yeah.
But it's still like stronger than Kalendor, which is terrifying to think that there was a battle going on and it came down at some point between two Saw Angreal, both stronger than Kalendor.
Right.
Probably just in terms of raw power. I doubt they had like that so useful asterisk flaw / it's not a bug, it's a feature kind of thing. So, but then, yeah, like you said, he surrenders the Sakaran to Titan, and is like, I got this. I don't even need this now. I feel comfortable now. With my 72 person armed guard. You don't need that. Lays the smackdown on an almost an enchanted Galwin. And so beats Galwin in single combat, beats Gallad in single combat, and is about to kill Gallad in single combat before Logain interrupts the rules of single combat, interferes with the fight, letting Gallad escape, and then Demandred's like, you fucking bitch. All right, I'll kill you instead. And then Logain pulls like what I feel is like a very much Black Tower move, and is like, you know what's stronger than the one power right now? This fucking rock in my hand, and just hits him in the head with a rock, and then runs away. And then finally, after all this, Demandred comes face to face with Lan, the best swordsman that we
hands
know
down
of in the
hands
entire
down
Westland.
best swordsman.
And still, the only way for Lan to land a fatal blow on Demandred is to essentially resolve to dying himself.
Yes.
Which, let's be fair, he would have died had, a certain fate boy not shown up and been like, no, Lan, you live.
So, fun story.
The only person who will be sheathing a sword today is me.
There is a scene in A New Spring where Lan is in a fight with someone and they best him. Like, they best Lan. He's a young Lan, right? He hasn't learned all the tricks and everything like that. And the guy cuts him and says, all right, you're done. You're done. I've got you. You're done. You're dead. I've bested you. I'm better than a sword with you. Lan lost in sword-to-sword combat. Hands down, he lost. But the guy blooded him and then turned his back and was like, haha, I win. And Lan kills him. And Lan has the famous line of, basically, you don't lose until you're dead. And I think that's a precursor.
Sounds like sore loser talk.
It was foreshadowing to the battle with Demandred. I really think that. Because that's exactly what happens in the battle with Demandred, where Demandred basically thinks, okay, cool, yeah, you're done. I've cut you. You're going to bleed out any second now. You're done. You're dead. And Lan is able to use that to his advantage and manages to smack something down before, as you said, he gets miraculously rescued.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, to me that sounds like sore loser talk. I mean, you were bested.
But
now there is something to be said about the fault of hubris.
Right.
Whenever you best somebody and just assume they're no longer. I mean, this is why like the military and law enforcement, everybody's trained that like if they're moving, they can still kill you, kind of thing. Like it's a bit of morbid training dialogue that's used. But the reality is, and we've seen it time and time again, it gets trained because it's been seen, it's happened. There's been people that have been in combat and have received wounds that by all market and oftentimes do turn out to be fatal, but they're not out of the fight immediately. In fact, very rarely does somebody get hit by something that's not, measured in the pounds of explosives area. Rarely does somebody get hit by something that immediately just cease. As long as there is breath in the body, there is a threat present.
So
that being said, it's definitely poor sportsmanship.
Right.
Definitely poor sportsmanship. That was a very sportsman of Lan. Now, all's fair in love and war, and this is kind of both.
Right.
But he gets a D for sportsmanlike conduct, but an A for commitment and effort.
I will say this, that it should also be noted that Lan was actually in the thick of it, fighting with sword in hand for I don't know how long. Like, how tired was he when he went up against Demandred? Like, come on now. And Demandred is fresh, essentially. And still only barely takes out Lan. Because Lan, she's the sword. Lan takes him out. And it's that moment of chaos. It is the fall of Demandred that gives Matt a brief advantage to press the forces of the shadow and ultimately overcome them in every single location except for at Shayol Ghul. They're able to regroup, march on Shayol Ghul, take out those forces, and then because of the weird time dilation effect, Rand and the Dark One end up fighting for like several weeks after everybody else is done. But Demandred, God, what a scary guy.
Yeah. Lan beheads him, and then finally Mogideon in like one of her last acts or whatever, just like, your body's disgusting, goodbye.
Yeah, she burns him up and says, "You suck." Final thoughts on Demandred. I think he was definitely, I will say, with the possible exception of Moradin, he was the smartest Forsaken. He's the Forsaken who was careful, methodical, tactical. He did an extraordinarily good job of building up an army, rallying a nation to his cause, and gaining their loyalty and love. He just did a really amazing job of doing exactly what the Dark One needed the Forsaken to do. And he's just one of the few that actually seem to do their job really, really well. You had a couple of, like we had talked about, his alliance with Semirog and Masana, and Semirog was kind of like, I really don't care to be nameless. I just want to kind of do my own thing and be left alone. But if I can help Demandred, he can take all the credit, fine. He can be nameless, fine. And I can be the one who just was able to help, and I don't have to worry about competing, and I won't have to worry about getting punished, because he'll become Nablius and then leave me alone. And I think for that reason, I think Demandred's probably one of, if not the scariest Forsaken, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm gonna say that he was a better Forsaken than any of the others, including Mord. In my opinion, Demandred, just like the Dark One offered, should have been Nablius. Demandred doesn't die until everything is done. Demandred does far more to prep the forces of the shadow for potential victory. He works towards the goals the Dark One actually wants, because they also do align with his own personal desires, which makes sense. But that's part of what makes him such a formidable Forsaken. Right. And he doesn't spend his time dealing with messy alliances that don't go anywhere or don't pan out, or squabbles with the other Forsaken. He shows up, he has his meeting with the boss, and the boss tells him, hey, this is a lot of what's going to happen. He comes out of that with the newfound information, with the idea that there's a very good chance that he will be Nabliss. He makes an alliance with people he considers effective and useful for said alliance, that do turn out to be successful. I mean, just the alliance with Semirog does eventually lead to Demandred having a physical advantage should he get into a one-on-one fight.
He also specifically seeks out Forsaken he knows is going to live.
Yeah. And then he also, like, his sheer appearance after the fruits of his efforts for the past, several years, year and a half, 2 years, because he didn't just like take over Sara over like the last couple decades. He wasn't like Ishmael, who had 40 years every 960 years to lay the groundwork. Demandred was released, met with the boss, showed up, not only immediately sought out the most powerful sangreal that he could get a hold of, minus the Choden Call, and get it, but he literally took over an entire continent or an entire nation by fulfilling prophecy. So he did it in a very bloodless and a very effective way that would assure the loyalty of the Sarans to him, because they believed that he was the prophesied one to show up. So I'm going to say that he was that he was at least as smart as, if not smarter than Moradin / Ishmael, and that he was far more effective, and that by not giving Demandred access to the true power, or the true source, no true power, that the Dark One actually kind of kneecapped his own forces.
Right.
Because I think a Demandred that had access to the true power in the last battle, as much as he swatted everything away already, nothing would have been close. And that might be expressly why in the writing that he wasn't given access to the true power. Because how do you defeat a guy that has a circle of 72, the strongest sangreal that you can get your hands on realistically right now, and you give him the true power? I think there was an update patch released, and Demandred was nerfed in the end. I don't think they would have won, because he single-handedly, like, the both sides were relatively even, the shadow and the light, until Demandred showed up, and then everything swayed heavily in favor of the shadow. And then plot armor came in play.
Right.
Plot armor will beat tactics and preparedness every time, unless you're back.
True. That's true.
So, yeah, you know what? That's my takeaway. Demandred got nerfed and ripped off, and should have been the sole survivor at the end of this. Had Demandred not gotten nerfed and gypped out of his promotion, had he not come in second again, except for this time, good reason, the Shadow would have won, and that would have been the story. And that's expressly why Demandred never got access to the
how stupid would that be, though, if that was the end of the story? Demandred wins.
all 14-book build up just for the bad guys to still
just
win.
for the bad guys to win. Rand steps out of the boar only to find an army of Trollocs and Shadow Spawn, and is like, oh shit, we lost.
They're holding the heads of all of his friends. Matt's there, Perrin's there, Egwene, Elaine, Avi.
Very, very dark.
They even standing there holding Nakomi's head. And it's like, yeah, you've been gone for like 6 years, bro. We wiped out everybody. Like,
we murked everyone. You're done.
The manager's just sitting there, like, picking his tooth with a sword. Just about time he showed back up. Oh, you beat the Dark One? Well, that's a shame, because I am the Dark One.
Oh boy. Well, thanks everybody for being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being awesome. We love you. We're grateful to have you here. As always, go to blacktowerpod.com, your one-stop shop for all Black Tower podcast needs and things. We thank you for behaving yourselves while we dole out this week's dose of taint. We hope that you leave here just a little bit more insane than you were when you first came in.
Hope you had a good Christmas if you celebrate. If not, hope it was a good holiday weekend for you. And is this episode coming out on the 30th?
Yes, this will be on the 30th. So happy New Year's.
So this coming weekend, enjoy responsibly. You know, if you've drinking a Black Tower's worth of taint, maybe you don't need to be the one lighting the M8. Just
yeah. Be safe. Be safe. Don't add to or take away from the population, and don't make
if you do find yourself in prison,
new
establish dominance quick
bills for yourself or any loved ones. From all of us here at the Black Tower, I have been your Sorvan Mahale, Josh.
And I have been your Bajan Mahale, Andrew. And your Aman Khan Mahale, Daniel, is waving that flag up and down probably more up than down the West Coast. But he'll be back soon. And we'll see him next year. Make that joke again.
And I'm sure if he were here, he would say something like, we hope you're having a wonderful evening or afternoon. And in case we don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. That's what he says, right?
Have a good time of day. Insert time of day.
Insert.
Always running the
Bye-bye.
show.
Bye.
In the tower, you can bring your pain. In the tower, you can feel the strain. You've been having so much trouble just fitting